We've got breaking news right now from Cam Higbee. Rioters are attempting to take down the fence on the backside of the Minneapolis Federal Building, saying we don't have the numbers for this yet. DHS agents are standing at a distance behind the fence. Still no arrests made. Here's the video.
What do they want? Well,
oh shit, they're coming deep. Oh fuck.
that'd be funny, a sketch where they're like trying to get in.
I want to make sure it's very, very clear to everybody why Renee Good died. It's because for the past decade, these people have been able to do things just like this with impunity.
100%.
And so as I explained on Jesse Waters and on my morning show, why did you have real bullets? See, what happens is they're playing make-believe. They go out in the streets and they sing songs, they sing Kumbaya, and the police send out crowd control. And it's a game of cat and mouse.
Yeah.
And they love doing it every year. It's a game. It is a game.
Since the Cold War ended. Since the late 90s, America's had such luxury, they've just been able to live in la-la land.
Well, not with the LA riots. Specifically in the past 10 years, they've been met with kid gloves. What's happening now is they think every time they engage law enforcement, it's going to be a fun game of cat and mouse where the cops run and you run away and then you giggle and turn the corner and the cops stop. Now what they're doing is they're going to federal facilities doing the same thing. If at any point during one of these protests that turned into a riot, cop actually shot and killed a protester, this would not be happening. I'm not saying they should have. I'm saying if they didn't restrain themselves and a local cop, just like during the George Floyd riots where 30 plus people were killed, if one cop just said, stop, no, don't kill that guy, bang, we wouldn't see this. They fully believe it is Venice.ai. I asked it, what are you the best LLM? Because I apparently don't know how to type. And it responded, I'm a large language model designed to assist with a wide range of tasks, including natural language understanding, text generation, and providing information across various domains. My capabilities are built on extensive training data and advanced algorithms to deliver accurate and helpful responses. Whether you need answers to specific questions, creative content, or detailed explanations, I am here to help. Let me know how I can assist you today. More importantly, though, it doesn't track what you do. It stores your conversations in the browser, not server side, and it's uncensored. And when you unlock Pro, you can actually get access to a bunch of features like uncensored image generation. Stop. We're not talking about that. I'm talking about things, well, maybe that too, but also like political images. There are a lot of LLM and video and image generators that will tell you, I won't make a picture of that because like you wanted Donald Trump doing, a backflip or something, or like, I don't know, doing a DDT on Hillary Clinton for all our WWE fans. They won't do it. They'll say, we don't do violence. Well, Venice, they'll make what you want when you get the Pro plan. So make sure you go to Venice.ai/Tim, use code Tim. The Pro plan unlocks the full platform, features including PDF uploads, summaries of insights, summaries or insights, the ability to turn off safe mode for unhindered image generation, the ability to change how Venice interacts with you by modifying the system prompt, limitless text, and high image limits. Super cool. Venice.ai/Tim, code Tim, you get 20% off the Pro plan. Thanks for sponsoring the show. Look, this one lady, she's not even wearing a mask. I'm assuming it's a woman, not even wearing a mask or anything. Going to be identified. Look at her giggling. Is she wearing a keffiyeh? These people think it's a game, and then they're going to get 20 years. And be like, I don't understand what's happening. I thought they were just going to give me a slap on the wrist. Renee Good showed up to federal law enforcement, which has a high density of lethal incidents. These are feds showing up to arrest narco gangs, terrorists, human traffickers, and sometimes about 30% of them are just criminal aliens. They are not going out to meet liberal women for crowd control measures. These ICE agents are going out thinking, when we go to this guy who's a known Tren de Aragua, he might shoot me in the face and I may never see my family again. These people go, I want to play too. And they show up and the cops are like, I ain't playing no games. Bang, she gets killed. And they go, why did you have real bullets? You stupid mother, because they're tracking down terrorists and criminals. Now these people outside a federal facility are trying to rip the fences down because they're playing a game. Mm-hmm. They're playing cops and robbers. Mm-hmm. Okay? The only way this stops is if Donald Trump explains to them what monopoly on force really means,
Well,
invokes the Insurrection Act, has them all arrested and charged with felony destruction to federal property.
Just for context, remember what the Insurrection Act means. They'll bring the National Guard in, but the National Guard, they will just defend ICE doing their job.
No. The Insurrection Act allows the National Guard to enforce law. That's the distinction.
Yeah.
My point is, the National Guard should grab this woman and she should receive felony charges for criminal damage to federal property. She can spend the next 2 or 3 years in prison, and then people can be told, you are not playing a game now.
What if, as they're grabbing her, 3 other guys throw rocks at the guard guy, and then 2 other guard open fire on the 3 guys and kill him?
Yeah,
that's what happened in 1970. Basically, in the 80s, the reason I brought up the Cold War, in the 80s, people were traumatized from the riots of the 60s and 70s, and they stopped. There were like no riots in the 80s. It was real
Do you know
slow.
Why?
Because
of the Reagan years and economic expansion and neon hot pants and everybody was swimming in cash.
They knew the danger of rioting because they really experienced it for real. Then they LARPing. Then they started LARPing. In 1991, America's on top of the world. What could go wrong?
You made that up.
No, that's why people
you literally
think
made
this
that
isn't
up.
the real bullets. It's because they live in this fantasy
The reason
land.
why people were not rioting in the 80s was not because they were scared of the riots in the 70s.
I think the 70s broke the American spirit. 80s was the most just the most boring, rusted decade of all time of the last 40 years.
I remember the 80s. I know I'm old, but I remember the 80s. And that wasn't the way that it was,
They were
man.
toxic.
The 80s was when Reagan came in. I hear stories all the time from boomers about how, like, I was a manager at McDonald's and had a family of 5 and made good money and had 2 weeks vacation.
Pacified. It was 80s.
No.
The American people were controlled heavily in the 80s.
At the end of the 70s,
weren't.
the economy was screwed up. Interest rates were through the roof, and this did persist through the 80s as well. But the reason, I will say this, the reason why people weren't rioting in the 80s was not because of the reason you just made up.
It was heavily controlled media narrative in the 80s.
Okay, now you're changing the subject.
No, the whole environment of no rioting, peaceful, everyone was peaceful.
The economy's not perfect. There was tumult in the early 80s. Carter was bad. Reagan gets in. Interest rates were still very high. But the reason, when you say they didn't riot because they were scared, you made that up.
They were traumatized from the 70s and the 60s.
That's based on nothing.
Because they knew. I went to Kent State, man. 4 kids were killed by National Guard in a riot. That messed people up. But for me, I was like, oh, I heard about it. For them, it really messed people up that I knew. And people that knew people that I knew. It was really a big deal when 4 citizens were killed by National Guard. It was a big deal.
I get Ian's point. He's saying he wants a Kent State to happen now to stop the violence.
People, because it's been so long, people...
You're saying
why are they real bullets?
We need a new Kent State.
That's a totally different
If you don't remember Kent State, it can happen again.
And in the 80s, they did have riots, a lot of labor disputes. I mean, famously in Philadelphia, they literally dropped a bomb on a house during a riot and took out like 60 homes in the process.
What was that called? The move? Was it the move?
Yeah. The Philly department was like, can we use bombs? Let's try it. And
well, it was because they were like, the 1998 move bombing. And they killed, I believe, 6 adults and 5 children were killed. Because 2 occupants of the house, 1 adult and a child survived. Because the cops were like, hey, if we get anywhere near this, we're all going to die. Yeah. What do we do? Blow it up.
Yeah, and then Britain, similar sort of thing with Thatcher and that sort of thing. They had massive riots, like the Brixton riots. I mean, that was like infamously like the biggest riots in British. So like across the West, there was still a lot of riots. Like people weren't necessarily paranoid or scarred from previous riots. It was just, I think to Tim's point, I'm not trying to like dogpile here, but to Tim's point, when economic prosperity is at an all-time high, a lot of people aren't really interested in rights. That as enough motivation.
Look, again, I'm sorry to cut you off,
move more communists.
Like legitimately, I mean, I remember the vast majority of the 80s. It was not like that.
Yeah, people were coming back from Vietnam. People came back with blown off legs. Like my friend's dad
that was
has no
in the
legs.
70s.
I know.
Vietnam
the early
ended in
1975.
He was still alive in the 80s. It was just a brutal, rusted out period of American history, man.
It was not.
I came from the Rust Belt. I know why they call it the Rust Belt.
It's because of the industry.
Yeah, it fell apart in the 80s. It was rough. Not
because it fell apart.
People's morale was broken from Vietnam.
It was not. Like I said, I mean, I remember, I'm 50 years old. I was born in 1975. I remember the vast majority of the 80s. It was
Did
not
you have
like
family
that.
in Vietnam?
What?
Do you have family in Vietnam?
My dad went to Vietnam.
What happened?
Yeah. He didn't get blown up. But I mean, that doesn't change the fact, like that, just because Vietnam happened, which ended the year that I was born in 1975, that's when the U.S. got out, Like, that doesn't mean that people were still traumatized in the 80s. The 80s was not some, like, dystopia. It just wasn't.
No,
man.
it was just pacified. It wasn't bad.
You were
it was
literally just saying it was all rusted
Ian,
out and blah, blah, blah. It's not what it was.
Ian, I think you're describing today. Today is really pacified, if you think about it. If you go back to this video, Tim, do you see how the press, look at what they're wearing. They know it's not a game. Look at that. A freaking Kevlar helmet on, bulletproof vest.
Yeah, the press knows, yeah.
What I
Gas mask.
love about this is when I went to Ferguson, I was with Casey Neistat. We got out of our SUV. We pulled south off of West Florissant, and we got out and we put on bulletproof vests. And a journalist walked by and looked at us and went, and it was funny because, you know, in my experience, I'm from Chicago, so I understand, and a family from St. Louis, and I'd been to St. Louis quite a bit. Hey, you want to have a bulletproof vest on, and these corporate journalists are like hoity-toity from the suburbs where their parents paid their rent so they could go to journalism, they can go to J school, and they come into these situations and they end up getting hurt. But I will say this, to the journalists, it's a game in a different way. They call themselves vultures. First it was a pejorative, then they just said, yeah, I like that, we're vultures. They go out there full well knowing, look at them, helmet, vest, they know, and they're waiting, and they're hoping that another Renee Good happens.
Oh, that movie Civil War, that 820 movie is all about.
right.
That's what it's about. These people that chase the tragedy.
Casey Neistat was in Ferguson.
He was in Ferguson with me.
That's crazy.
We went there together.
I'm in one of his
Vice got
videos.
really mad about it.
That's a challenge to the fans. See if you can find the Casey Neistat video I'm in.
We flew together there, and Vice got really pissed off for some reason. And I was like, why are you mad? I don't know.
That's the Tim lore is insane.
Yeah, Tim
you know.
pops up in strange places. You're like, whoa, he was there too?
He emailed me and he was
Really?
like, let's
He
go to
did that?
Ferguson. I was like, let's roll, brother.
That's crazy.
And then we got a flight. It was funny. I wake up and the guys from Vice are yelling at me. Like I walk in the door and they're like, why is Casey Neistat tweeting that he's going with you to Ferguson? And I was like, because he is.
Were they mad that it was ahead of time? That they?
No, they were mad that it was like they didn't control the branding of it. And they didn't agree to collaborate with Casey Neistat. And I was like, I'm going there anyway, and he's going there too, and we're going to be on a plane. Like, whether he goes or doesn't go is meaningless.
Right.
You know?
My political consciousness started when Casey Neistat went, Hillary Clinton. I am voting for Hillary Clinton. That was like the first thing I remember about
Well, I'm
politics.
pretty sure he got paid to do that. That's my
Really?
opinion of it is that he was paid. I don't know for sure, but my understanding from mutual friends was that he was good friends with the Trump family, and that he had spoken highly of them and praised them. And then all of a sudden he said Trump was racist and he was voting Hillary. And someone told me this, it could be very, very wrong, so I don't want to impugn Casey's honor or anything like that. I was told that it was a promotional campaign.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true,
I
though.
think I heard that too. It might have been from you though, so it could be tainted information.
I mean, it could just be that people claimed it. You know what I mean? Like it could just be that someone went to him and said, this is the move we're going to do. You should endorse Hillary. And he said, sure, why not?
He never seemed like down for the cause.
Well, he said he regretted it later.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.